Yep, it's me again. They hate us. This is why they give a fuck about us at the same time. As always, I am your host, JD Miles. The MGTOWs, they love to hate. Even the ones that claim everybody loves to hate them, loves to hate MGTOW at the same time as always, which is why these retarded fucks keep us relevant to this very day, and I'm back again. For today's topic of discussion, rather a cautionary tale. Then again, y'all see the title. But I want y'all to listen to this man's story and how he ended up in this predicament and use this as a cautionary tale. Now, Uncle JD cannot stress this enough, but I've been hearing a lot of stories about this, which has to be known. In fact, we all heard the stories about this. For those fellas, for those of y'all who think that you'll be safe if you go use the sperm bank, donate your sperm so someone can have a child. I plead with caution on this. Don't. Yeah, you might help a family get a child, have the child that they want, but guess what? They can still put you on child support regardless. As this man found out for himself. And before I go any further, shout out to the Poor Man Podcast. I'll leave the link to his full video in the comment section. Go check it out. But let's hear his story. And fellas, learn from his mistakes. Let's go.
I'm probably going to jail for this. I don't care. I've stayed quiet long enough. A few years ago, I agreed to be a sperm donor. She said she just wanted the baby and not a relationship.
Oh, no.
I was young and naive, and I trusted someone that I shouldn't have. When she told me she was pregnant, I congratulated her and moved to California. I thought that was the end of it. But then she started messaging my mom. She said she had no one, and she pressured us all to be at the birth. So we did. We were all at the birth. I signed the birth certificate, and I decided to be in the baby's life as a dad.
Oh, did I also fail to mention? The child isn't his, yet he signed the birth certificate. I mean, as much as I want to call him a dummy for that, because let's just be honest here. Later on in the video, he shows clear signs of paternity doubt. And as Uncle JD always stated, never sign the birth certificate if you have any amount of paternity doubt. But he signed the birth certificate, so now legally he is held accountable as being the father to a child that's not his. But let's continue further.
Oh no, once you sign that birth certificate, anybody who knows anything knows that once you sign that birth certificate, you are the father legally. Not biologically, but definitely legally. And the state is going to make sure you take care of that baby by any means necessary, even if that means you got to get locked up in jail because you can't afford child support. He didn't really, and he moved to California? Rookie mistake, brother.
That's even worse. I've been to California before, and their laws are so fucking ridiculous, especially when it comes to family court. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear it.
And the baby lived in my Airbnb for free. I had to pay child support, and she took over $52,000 from me. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was being a dad. She started asking me to be a family, and when I refused, she called me a deadbeat online, and I stayed silent throughout it all. 2.5 years later, I decided to take 2 DNA tests. Both of them said the same thing. I was not the father.
Of
When I
course.
shared the
Of
results, she said that I was lying and that we tampered with the test.
Before you all start believing this shit, some company with her DNA, that could have been anyone's DNA.
She filed a restraining order. A judge silenced me and made me remove all my posts based on Maria's claim that I was actually the father.
Which is something a judge cannot do without probable cause. In fact, by that judge making him do that shit, he is actually violating his First Amendment right. A judge, unless there's probable cause, say for instance, he's threatening her or what may have you, legally, a judge cannot make that call. But this is California. And that's how fucking retarded their court system is. But let's continue.
The father.
Yeah, and that's all it takes. That's all it's going to take is the woman's claim, because as a man, as soon as you go into any level of family court, you are guilty until proven innocent, and everything that the woman says will be taken at face value, and you will have to prove your way out of everything. This man has a full DNA test saying that he's not the father, and it's not enough. And if the woman wants to draw it out and really, really draw it out to make you miserable, she can for a very long time. If she's not cooperative with understanding that you're not the father and she doesn't want to admit that, she could drag it out in family court for forever.
This is the court-ordered DNA test that I had to request. And it confirmed again, I am not the father. And while I was silent, she kept going. She was changing dates on photos, spinning stories, manipulating people online. Some people believed her. But while she was doing that, I was uncovering the truth. Connections, manipulations, lies, and the truth about who the real father is. This is just the beginning of Maria's web.
Oh, he did his homework.
Part 2. Apparently, I've been in a full-blown
Yep, he definitely did. Look how thick that binder is.
relationship I wasn't even aware of. Maria and I had a one-night stand on December 12th, 2020. She was in her 30s and I had just turned 24. And let me say this slowly to the people in the back. We were never in a relationship. She wanted more and I didn't. But instead of taking the L, she turned it into a full-blown homie hopper. Like back to back. Wasn't even discreet about it. She just went down the roster like it was her job. I guess the logic was, if I won't date her, maybe I'll change my mind after I watch her hook up with all my friends. Bold strategy. It didn't work. And in case you think I'm still lying.
It never does.
Straight up. So not only she has him on the hook, but she tried to get his friends involved. Scandalous, scandalous. She's so scandalous. She's so scandalous. She's so scandalous. Try to hit on his friends, and they didn't take the bait. But let's continue.
My cousin confirmed that we were never together. I'm sorry, Hadley. I know you hate this picture, but this is the time that Maria asked me to be a sperm.
Yeah, that whole idea of like a woman trying to make you jealous by going out and being a hoe, it never ever works. It never works. It just makes you go, oh, I was right about her.
Exactly. Or as one rapper put it, well, you think that's supposed to make me jealous? Okay, it did. But a lot of times adults lose the games being played by kids. And that's how most men look at it, as a childish fucking game. And the vast majority don't fall for that shit. Let's continue.
It never works. I don't understand why women even try that as a method. It doesn't work.
She doesn't want to do IVF, and I'm convenient because we've already slept together once. She says she wants nothing from me, and instead of doing the smart thing and walking away, I said yes, because I was 24 and apparently thought the best use of my time was becoming a discount sperm donor for someone that I wasn't even texting back. I was thinking with the wrong head, obviously.
Exactly.
No strings.
That's right. Thinking with that head between your legs and not the head on your shoulders is always an awful decision.
No drama. I just want a baby. I was like, sounds easy enough. I can do that. I really thought I could just sleep with her and help her get pregnant. And then go back to business as usual. Like, thanks for stopping by. Good luck with the whole parenting thing. Top tier, dumbass behavior.
Yeah.
I own that. I know it. But I genuinely believed her when she said it would be simple.
And it's good that he's acknowledging that, because that is a dumb rookie mistake. This is a 30-year-old woman sleeping on a one-night stand with a 24-year-old man, trusting anything that she says is absolutely insane. Now you can put
Out the gate. I mean, did you really think that all she wants is just a baby and that's it? Even I can't fathom that.
You can play the naive card because he was 24 thinking with the wrong head, but at the end of the day, that's why I tell dudes, you should not be thinking with the wrong head. Don't be sleeping with women if you don't want them to be the mother of your kids, because you're doing something that could lead to her being the mother of your kids. So
Exactly. This is why, fellas, this is why a lot of men needs to practice dick discipline. I'll say it again. A lot of men needs to practice dick discipline. Don't be more than willing. Don't be more than willing to clap the cheeks and then expect for things to be back to normal. It ain't. An Amazon Prime example is look at these athletes. Look at these athletes. And look at all the drama and bullshit they go through messing with these Instagram models, these OF models, just because they can. And I believe a wise man once said, just because you can doesn't mean you should. The reason why I'm talking about these athletes is because, in the position they in, they could clap these Instagram models' cheeks, these OF models' cheeks, but just because they can doesn't mean they should. And for some, they shouldn't have. Because look at their situation they're in now. Now these models got them on the hook. Now these models is out here on social media embarrassing these fucking athletes, and yet these athletes is still too fucking ignorant to grasp the concept. Don't take my word for it. It's all on YouTube, man. Let's continue.
So you better find a goddamn hobby that don't involve drinking and messing with random women, because I'm telling you, it can get you in a trap. This man's talking about having this woman live in an Airbnb for 2 years. She stole $55,000 from him. That's a big price to pay for trying to chase some coochie when you're 24 years old. You don't have the time wasted to waste sleeping with women that you don't even value, that you don't even respect.
Drama and no strings attached. That's not what happened. So
of course
this woman
not.
told me I got her pregnant.
Definitely.
The same day she got her period, and then accidentally exposed herself on TikTok 3 years later. May 7th, 2021, Maria gets her birth control arm implant out. She's from my hometown, and she was living in New Orleans at the time, so she could only be here on the weekends. So she came in town the next 2 weekends, May 14th and May 21st. We partied with my friends. She stayed over. She had someone take these pictures, and then later tried to use them to prove we were in a relationship. We weren't. What was I supposed to say? Don't take a picture with me? And then I went to California. While I'm there, I posted with another girl, Whitney. She's only a friend, but Maria didn't know that. Maybe she got jealous. I don't know. But what she did next will never cease to amaze me.
Of course she did, because the people who try to make people jealous in a relationship are people that easily get jealous. That's why they think that it works, but it never does.
June 6, 2021, Maria gets her period. She knows I didn't get her pregnant. And she also knows I'm about to move across the country. So she invites me to brunch, and she tells me she's pregnant, fully knowing that she's not. Then she starts drinking like a lot. We then leave and go to another restaurant and meet up with my friend Dylan, and she also tells him she's pregnant. Dylan and I think it's weird that she's drinking, but she insists it's okay. Here's the proof.
And that's a dead giveaway. That is such a dead giveaway. If she was really pregnant, then why is she drinking? No, if she was pregnant, why was she Why was she drinking so much? In fact, even doctors tell pregnant women, do not drink, do not smoke, do not do none of that, because that will negatively affect the child. So case in point, case in point, I know she was lying. You could tell that she's lying right there if she's drinking that much alcohol, putting her child at risk. Fellas, understand the telltale signs, but let's continue.
This is proof that this video is on June 6th.
Fuck this place, move to California.
Hey, you didn't get a lemon in here.
Oh, fuck, wrong man.
This video is done, but it shows two things. Maria was drinking, and I made it very clear that I was leaving. And that's important because that brunch, that's the last time I ever saw her until the week before the baby was born.
Wow.
Here's how we found out that she was on her period when she told me she was pregnant.
Here we go.
I posted to TikTok to try to prove we were in a relationship. She changed the dates on the photos, but we'll get into that later.
All right, I'm following you.
All right.
I then tell my girlfriend, who's a nurse, that she took that photo the day she told me she was pregnant. And Happy's like, hold up, there's no way. Let me see that ultrasound photo again. So we pull up the ultrasound that she sent my mom. The ultrasound was done on January 17th, 2022. And it showed that she was 32 weeks and 1 day. I've since learned that pregnancy is calculated from the first day of a woman's last menstrual period. And if we count back 32 weeks and 1 day from January 17th, 2022, we get June 6th, 2021, the day she told me she was pregnant. And we didn't sleep together that day either. Since she never saw me after that, that means that she knew from the beginning that I was never the father.
Yeah.
Furthermore, here's proof that I'm in California.
Now he's understanding. Now he's understanding it all. Yet another victim of paternity fraud. Let's continue.
In California, the only weekend that she could have gotten pregnant. She traps me before there's even a baby.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what they do. They'll sleep with multiple people, and then when they get pregnant, they'll decide which one they want to be the dad. And you was
because they already know who the biological father is, and that's one of the many fuck ups they do. When they sleep with random men, get pregnant, they now have to guess who the father is because they don't know. And oftentimes it's not even about finding out who the biological father is. It's all about who I could get the most benefits from. Who can actually take care of the child more than finding out who the biological father. I mean, it's elementary, my dear Watson. Let's continue.
And you was just the best sucker. That's how you was the best sucker that had the most money that could provide probably the most stability in her eyes and from her opinion. And that's why you the one that got tied to the baby automatically.
We probably would have never found out if she wouldn't have posted the photos. She exposed her own lie, and it only gets crazier from here. Here's how I ended up the birth of a baby that I was only supposed to be a sperm donor for. July 12th, 2021, she confirms that she's actually pregnant. We only found that out later when she started posting on TikTok, but at that time, she kept quiet. From July 22nd through July 26th, I was with my friend Whitney. She met my mom and she posted it on Facebook. Maria didn't know she was just a friend, and based on what happened next, I think she got jealous. Because not long after, Maria starts messaging my mom.
Wow, it gotten so bad that even if you have a lady friend, she's just a friend to you. The woman who's trying to trap the baby on you is jealous. God damn it. You can't make this shit up.
Hello.
Hey, Mama.
The night, I guess that we first met, I guess it was that night at the house show. One of the first things after we introduced ourselves and sat down, I could see, remember her saying to me, that she hoped that I didn't think that she took advantage of my son. And of course, I gave a blunt answer to that. She went on to discuss, and she mentioned, how I guess she was impressed with you to be so young and so successful at that age.
Yep, there it is.
Yep.
And that's why especially if you feel like you're going to be successful in your life, especially if you already have things. That's why I never understood this whole high value men supposed to or should go out and sleep with women, or they have the ability to. Sure, they may have the ability to, but you absolutely should not do it because it costs so much. It can.
Which goes back to what I said earlier. Just because, fellas, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Out the gate. I mean, there's no up, down, around, or sideways about it. And it's because of this. They don't think straight. They'll go ahead and do it, and then find themselves in fucked up situations. Ass out.
It can cost you so much, and you're dealing with something fragile like life. You could potentially create life out of it too. It just costs you so much. It doesn't seem like it's worth it. Go find a hobby. Do something else with your time. Stop giving it to bloodsuckers. Don't give it to bloodsuckers. It's crazy.
From that point on, Maria started pulling my mom in deeper. She would ask for baby pictures of me, and she told mom that baby's gonna look just like me. She made my mom feel important and needed, and when Maria told her that she had no one, my mom felt pressured to come to the birth.
She told me if something ever happens to her, I want you to raise the baby. And I just remember thinking that poor girl has no one.
Oh.
By then, my family was in. They were planning to be at the birth, and
Now my question is, why is she dragging his mom into this? Why is she trying to drag his whole entire family into this? Because she's trying to gain sympathy. She's trying to gain sympathy and pity from his family to the point to where if she can encourage his family to force him to make moves, then at this point, what can I say? Let's continue.
And I was about to be too. My mom tells me that Maria told her she has no one coming to the birth, no family, no support. She's scared and she really wants me to be there. So I booked the flight on February 23rd, 2022, and it's $677.
Why would you
Wow.
go to this place if you don't have any support? She knew good and goddamn well that from her character being a horrible person, because I'm sure that's what she is. Usually when people do stuff like this ain't the only area in their life where they're crazy. She's probably pushed everybody away in her life that actually cared about her. And now she's alone. And she already knew that before she even signed up to do this gig. This whole gig was set up to get this dude trapped. And she played the long game. She slept with a bunch of dudes and said whoever is the highest bidder is the one that's going to be the father of the child. It's crazy.
I agree. If she's alone and has no one to support her, why would she want to get pregnant in the first place? So basically, this shit was a setup from the very start. No family, no friends, no one to turn to, but she wants to be pregnant. The math clearly does not add up here. But he went for it. So there, let's continue.
Crazy.
And I sent Maria the screenshot. By this time, Maria has already had 2 separate baby showers and never posted anything about it. Not one bump photo, nothing. And then a few hours after I booked my ticket, and on the same day that I sent her the screenshot confirming I was going to be at the birth. And at 8.5 months pregnant, That is the first time she ever posts that she's pregnant. And she uses my last name. She waited until I was fully in, and then she told the world. She didn't just lie, she made sure the lie had backup. The day the baby was born, I was there, and I was the first person to ever hold the baby. And I just remember thinking, this is what it feels like to become a dad. Thinking about anything else in that moment. My parents are there posting about how they're grandparents again. And then the nurse comes in and she brings in the forms for the birth certificate and the acknowledgement of paternity. I signed everything because I thought the baby was mine, and Maria knew I would.
Like a dummy. In situations like this, instead of him going by thought, he should go by knowing. Despite all the signs, he still signed it. This is the part where I don't feel bad. You knew the signs. You see how she maneuvered, but yet you still signed that birth certificate. So now legally, you are the father. You are the father, regardless, until you could prove otherwise. Fellas, this is the reason why the vast majority are saying that paternity testing should be mandatory at birth before any birth certificate gets signed off. Regardless to what these retarded fucks has to say. Mandatory paternity testing guarantees who the biological father is. And yes, some states have now put that into law. Other states need to follow suit, especially California. And this is the reason why. This is the reason why we got situations such as this. And yes, you got both men and women agreeing that paternity tests should be mandatory off the gate. And the only ones who has a problem with mandatory paternity testing are the ones who have something to hide. If that man's the biological father of your child, and you know he's the biological father of your child, then they wouldn't be defensive nor combative about this shit. Some would go as far as go ahead, get tested. Go ahead, get tested, do your thing, find out for yourself. It's the ones that are defensive and combative about it that are against this shit because they have something to hide. Need I say more? Let's continue.
After the birth, she scheduled a full-blown newborn photo shoot. She posed me holding the baby and then would jump in the photos. She had my dog in the photos too.
Oh no, not the dog!
She shared the photos online, but I had no idea because I was already blocked on Facebook. She was posting pictures of me and the baby.
Yeah, she's playing the long game.
Family. Well, I'm across the country. She's messaging my childhood friends.
Fuck with you the long way.
And his girlfriend Megan to babysit, and they do. She starts asking my friends and family if they want to be the godparents. She didn't just ask one or two people. She told multiple friends they might be chosen. Literally, this is what my brother posted of me, the baby, and my friends. He joked, the godparents who didn't make the cut. And Maria liked the picture. At first, she kept things
surprise.
Cool and calm. It's like she didn't want to risk pushing me away too fast. Once I was settled into this nice little world she created for me, that's when she started to tighten her grip.
Yep.
And that's when the real abuse begins. You don't realize it's abuse when there's no...
Yep, now the shit starts to hit the fan. Dude, she played you like a fiddle. But fellas, listen to this part right here, because even though she played him like a fiddle, he didn't make the situation any better for himself. Let's continue.
When there's no bruises. But she didn't need violence. She used my love for the baby to control me. She waited until I was all in. Once I settled into my role as a father, once she knew I wasn't going anywhere,
Yep.
that's when it changed.
Gotcha.
The control started small, comment here, demand there, but it escalated fast. It was Easter 2022, and I flew home to see the baby. I spent nearly $900 on.
I mean, you just gotta respect this man's ability to follow the story here. The amount of research, and not research, but just backdating he did to find all this stuff and put it together in a portfolio to present it to the world. You gotta just at least respect the fact that the man is calculated. You gotta respect the man's organization at this point.
My whole family was at the house. My parents, nieces, uncles, aunts, cousins. I blocked off my Airbnb and I hosted everyone, including Maria and the baby. At first, things seemed normal. She was upstairs drinking, talking with my mom, being friendly. I was downstairs with my cousin just hanging out. The more she drank, the more her attitude started to shift. There was this edge to her.
Now we all got our crazy uncles in our families. I had a drunk crazy uncle. But one thing he said, which is 100% fact. Let your partner drink too much, the whole truth will come out of her. And yes, he was telling the truth. You let your partner drink too much, she will reveal the darkest secrets that she didn't want you to know at first. And when they get revealed, that's when the shit hits the fan. Let's continue.
There's sharp glances and short responses. I could feel it building. Then, out of nowhere, she leans over the upstairs balcony, clearly drunk, and screams down at me in front of everyone, "Get your ass up here and take care of your child." My mom says this is the first time that she saw it. That Maria expected something from me way beyond what we agreed to. For me, it was the first sign that if I didn't do what she wanted, she would humiliate me in front of everyone. After that day, things shifted. Subtly at first. But every time I didn't respond fast enough and give her what she wanted, she would use the baby against me. May 16th, 2022.
Using the baby or a child as a weapon is always the number one offensive tactic. Certified fact. Let's continue.
She asked if her and the baby could stay in my Airbnb rent-free. I don't answer right away. A few hours later, she threatens to take the baby away from me, so I say yes. She moves in, I cover rent, utilities, internet, everything. Meanwhile, I can't rent it out during peak season. I'm losing money left and right, but I tell myself it's worth it to save the baby's life. August 2022, I come back again, so I have to drive an hour each day just to see the baby, and then an hour back just to sleep with my parents. I keep showing up, I keep complying, because by now, it's clear. I push back, I lose access.
Yeah.
After she moved out of the Airbnb...
And that's not talked about enough in the family courts. Help women do that. Women rely on the family court. They weaponize the family court and the child against men oftentimes. That happens a lot. It happens a lot because sometimes these ladies are in these flings with these guys. The baby's made out of lust and not love. And the way to control the man is to use the baby because the man doesn't even truly love her. The baby wasn't even made out of love. It was made out of lust. And so when you see a lot of these deadbeat dad situations, that's what I oftentimes see. I don't see a lot of dudes just abandoning their kids willingly. Oftentimes they're pushed away heavily by the mom, and the mom uses the state as an enforcement arm of her will against the man.
The control didn't stop. She texted me, "This is what I want from you." She wanted me to start paying the full daycare amount, even though there was no court order in place. And in exchange, she said that I could have the baby every other weekend if I stay at my parents' house. I've never been arrested. I didn't use drugs.
Is this through the court or through her own set of rules? If it's through her own set of rules, then and not the courts, then it's a whole different ball game here. And yes, he has that option to refuse. But let's continue.
I've never been violent, abusive, or even raised my voice around her. There's no court ruling, no concern from a judge, nothing.
There it goes.
It wasn't co-parenting, it was control. My access to the baby came with conditions that she made up as she went.
Exactly.
About a week later, she posted a photo on Instagram with the man that we now know is the dad. Just something to note, we'll get into that later. Then came the baptism. We talked about this in my first video, but here's a quick recap.
Imagine that. You got the baby pinned on you, and you sitting there funding this man blowing this girl's back out, and he's the real dad. He's the real dad of the kid. But because he ain't doing nothing financially with his life, she chose you to be the fool. That hurts. That's crazy.
I drove 14 hours.
And this is what we call the cuck. He has to take care of everything, while the man who is the biological father of the child is still clapping her cheeks for free, while he has him taking care of his child. If that's not cucketry, I don't know what the fuck it is. Let's continue.
14-hour round trip just to be there. The night before, she asked me to come hang out. I said no, I didn't want to give her the wrong impression. So she told me I wasn't allowed to come to the baptism just like that. I didn't fight it, I just let my parents go instead. I was just trying to keep the peace. By summer of 2023, things took...
But the question is for you, sir, how far will you go? How far will you go, and how many sacrifices you will make just to keep the peace? I'm just asking this question. Let's continue.
Things took another turn. Now it wasn't just emotional pressure, it was legal. I was overwhelmed, and hiring an attorney felt too expensive. Plus, I had no reason to question paternity. Maria told me if I didn't just sign what her lawyer sent, she would take me to court and get $1,400 a month in child support and $16,000 in back pay.
Wow.
Trapped. In those same messages, she said that she didn't want to go in front of a judge.
I mean, does he not have any proof that he's been providing a life for her and the kid? Does he not have any proof that he's been providing? Because if you're providing a life for the kid, from my understanding, and if you can prove that, oftentimes they won't be able to get back pay. But you just never know.
And that's a fact. But this is California. So ain't no telling how this shit's gonna turn out. Shoot, he may have proof, but they'll sit there and still give favor to her. Let's continue.
Especially if he's in California. I don't know the laws if they're in Louisiana. I'm not sure where they are when this is going on. But you just never know. I'm gonna tell you.
Well, as a new Louisiana native, I could tell you this. The laws out there in Louisiana are cutthroat. No, seriously. They are cutthroat. And unless you have everything you need, every crucial and essential thing you need to fight your case out there in Louisiana, your ass is screwed. And yeah, I'm from Louisiana. I am a native of Louisiana, so I know their laws inside and out. Let's continue.
I'm going to tell you right now, though, it doesn't matter how powerful you think you are. You go into that family court system against a woman, especially a woman that can cry on demand, and you're weak. You're weak. Everybody in that room gets paid off of you. The woman gets paid, the judge gets paid, the lawyer gets paid, everybody gets paid off of your dime, and nobody has a problem exploiting you for it. I'm telling you.
Looking back now,
out the gate.
Important. I agreed to pay $750 a month and $10,000 in back child support. Just
Woo!
I didn't think I could win, so on August 21st, I wired her $10,000. You think that once the court order was in place, things would settle down, but they didn't. If anything, the control got worse. I made my first court-ordered child support payment on November 1st. Less than 2 weeks later, she's calling me names, refusing to let me keep the baby overnight, and demanding more money again. Even simple visits came with strict conditions. When I tried to coordinate a time to see the baby, she laid out impossible rules for pickup and drop-off. She told me exactly when, where, and how, and still refused overnight visits.
Exactly, and that's what the court does. It gives all of the power to the woman. She gets to set all of the standards for everything that happens between you and somebody that's supposed to be your biological kid. Ain't that crazy? You're 50%.
I mean, absolutely. And they wonder, and they wonder why. And they wonder why. They hear men say that this whole entire court system is fucking rigged. The court system the courts show favoritism. And they wonder why, the vast majority of these men don't want to deal with these women. But again, we're wrong for calling this shit out. Let's continue.
50% of the child's DNA. But the other person, who is the person, by the way, that oftentimes isn't the one the most financially stable, but they'll give them the kid anyway, because according to Title 5D, and you guys can look this up, it's a real thing, the states get 66% of every dollar they collect in child support. Before Title 5D, it used to be almost always 50-50 custody. After Title 5D, when the state started to get 50% of every, or 66% of every dollar they collect in child support, all of a sudden you see women, even if they're less financially capable of taking care of the kids, getting the kids. And she'll get to set all the rules. And you, as the father, just have to sit there and take it.
She insulted me in one breath and demanded child support in the next. I gave her extra money, $30 here, $250 there, all outside the court order. I was trying to avoid conflict and trying to save her baby's life. Then, out of nowhere, she texted me that she wants to be with me. I told her gently, again, that's not what I want. Days later, she posted photos of me and the baby at our house on Christmas morning, like we're a happy little family. By early 2024, it felt like there was no line that she wouldn't cross. February 1st, I make the court-ordered child support payment on time. On Valentine's Day, I posted this photo while I was out to dinner. I wasn't even in town, it wasn't my girlfriend, just a night out. Maria saw it and immediately started freaking out, texting that I should have taken the baby to dinner instead. Then she said, keep this up and I won't let you see her anymore. Sent her
Emotional manipulation is the best term to describe this situation. By her using the child against him emotionally, she's forcing him to bend to her will. Let's continue.
her $100 for a Valentine's dinner for her and the baby.
Wow.
Just trying to avoid another explosion.
Yeah, she took that and spent that on the dude that was blowing her back out. That's really the father of the kid. It's insane.
March 1st, I pay again. $750 in support plus $31 extra for dance class. Again, not court ordered. Just trying to keep the peace. Then she posts birthday photos, thinking,
okay, do y'all see the pattern here? Every time he pays child support, he has to pay extra in order to quote unquote keep the peace. Just to keep the peace. But if those of y'all who listen to Stoicism, what is one of the traits of a weak man? One of the traits of a weak man is a man who avoids conflict. Who avoids conflict. He avoids challenge. He avoids taking challenges. Because of this, that man puts himself in a position to where anybody can walk all over him. So case in point, she pinned a child that's not his. He has to pay because he put his name on that birth certificate, and because he don't want no conflict, he just want to keep the peace. Now he has set himself up to get walked all over. Get the picture? Let's continue.
our family and best friends for coming to celebrate. We don't share family or best friends. She just went out of her way to find my family and friends, message them, and inserted herself into every part of my life.
Wow.
I paid for the birthday party, $364, so she did need extra money. However, the next day, she demands the child support payment 26 days early. When I say no, she tells me to die and says I'll never see the baby again.
Wow.
The next day, I sent her $156, not because I wanted to, or was ordered to by the courts, because I felt like I didn't even have a choice anymore. Then she posted even more birthday photos, this time at dinner with my family, like everything was normal. I guess because I paid her, she was happy. By this point, I was drained financially, emotionally, mentally. She controlled when I could see the baby, how much I paid, what I was allowed to post, and how I lived my life.
Right.
And every time I pushed back, she would punish me for it. It didn't matter how much I gave, she always wanted more. And I didn't think it could get worse. But then I met Hadley. And for the first time since meeting Maria, I was in a real relationship. An actual one, and it was serious.
Exactly.
Part 6 of Maria's Rebel Lives will be up tomorrow.
Now you're in a whole different part of your life. And that thing is still following you. What you did when you was 24 years old on a whim is still stuck with you today because you made one bad decision.
Out the gate. And now he's in this predicament. He's trapped with a baby that isn't his. He signed a birth certificate without a second thought, and now he's trapped in a legal bind. He has to pay child support for a baby that's not his. Plus, had to pay for everything. Not because the court ordered them to, but because of quote unquote, he wants to keep the peace. But in the process of trying to keep the peace, he puts himself in a position to where now he's a pushover. He puts himself in a position to where now she could just walk all over him. Now he is strained financially, emotionally, mentally, the whole 9 yards. But that is now just part of this because let's be honest here. He hasn't finished the full story yet. And anyone who has any updates to the rest of his story, let me know in the comments because I believe there's even more to this story than what we know so far. But fellas, take his situation as a cautionary tale. Don't think with the head between your legs. Think with the head on your shoulders. And two, stay the fuck away from sperm banks. Even if she wants you to be a sperm donor, tell her no. Because 9 times out of 10, she's going to trap you off the gate. But nevertheless, I said what I had to say. Shout out to the Poor Man's Podcast. I'll leave the link to the full video in the description box. Go check it out. Tell them JD Mouse sent you. But that's all I got for today. I'm done and I'm out this bitch. Later.